For today's review, we are looking at the Marvel Legends X-Men 97 Cyclops. Now, before I talk about the accessories and dive into the review of the figure, I do want to share this really quickly. My X-Men shelf is very incomplete. It's not like my Avengers shelf where I feel like it's done. I'm satisfied with all the figures that I have for that shelf. My X-Men shelf is not done. I'm missing quite a lot of characters in figure form, and I'm hoping that in the future I will be able to fill that shelf out. So, just wanted to share that. Alright, let's talk about the accessories that this figure includes. And we're going to start with the swappable hands. As you can see right here, he does have two pairs of fist hands, which is really nice. So there's that. And he also comes with some other hand gestures. I want to start with these two open hand gestures, as I like to call them, because I don't really know what to label these as. This one is kind of like good for action poses, I guess. Really cool. And then this one, I don't really know what to call this. Like, maybe a handshake? I don't know. So, however I can think of using these hands for photos, there is that. And then this hand is probably like my favorite one, because this could work for him pressing the visor thing, so it opens his, red part where he can shoot out his laser beam. That's what this hand gesture looks like to me. And it also could work for like some sort of like direction, like telling the team that, oh, we're gonna go from point A to point B. I don't know. That's what this hand gesture looks like to me. So there's that. And he also includes a alternate head sculpt, which I really like, where it's the angry expression, but it's also meant for him to shoot out the laser beam, which goes into the last accessory, which is an effect piece. And what's cool about this is that you can put this in the visor, I think like this, right? Or is it the other way? There you go. And yeah, pretty cool. And it makes me wonder, when is McFarlane going to do this with a Superman figure? Probably never. Yeah, there's that. So, those are all the accessories that he includes, which aren't bad for a Cyclops figure. And this leads me to another thing that I want to talk about. So, at the time, I could have picked up the VHS version of this version, like in this costume, but I decided not to because I've seen reviews of the cell shading stuff they did with the figures, and they don't look that good. The only thing I like about that VHS version is the head sculpt, which it looks more like semi-realistic. That's what it looks like to me. You can tell that the head sculpt for this version is very based off of the 97 sort of animated style. I think that's what they were trying to go for. So, it's not the same as the one from the VHS version. And another thing that I find weird looking on this figure, and maybe some of you might see it, he kind of looks like he has a long neck, which that might have something to do with the head sculpt. I don't know, or the neck joint here. It looks like he has a long neck, which is really weird looking. So when I do photos of him from certain angles, I always have to like tilt his head a little bit just to make it look like he doesn't have a long neck. So, but maybe that's just my perception. Maybe for you guys, you probably don't see it. So I don't know. But outside of that little flaw that I think is a flaw, it looks really good. I like the way that it came out. The colors and everything. This is like my favorite costume for Cyclops, because most of the costumes that I love were from the Jim Lee art style, right? Like Rogue's costume, Wolverine's costume, Jean Grey. Like all the ones I recognize are because of Jim Lee. So I really love this costume design the most. This is the one that is always my go-to for Cyclops. I know he's worn other costumes in the comics, but for some reason this is like my favorite one. I just like the most. So and let's talk about some details here that they did on this figure. So let's start with the head sculpt. So I think the printing on the face isn't bad. I like the fact that he's kind of like smirking or smiling. You know, he's confident, right? And I think the visor came out okay. Mine is kind of slightly tilted. That might have been some sort of quality control issue, unfortunately, but you know, it's okay. It's not that noticeable. And as for his strap, belt, whatever harness thing that he's wearing here, whatever this thing is called, I like the fact that it's nicely sculpted. It would work if I put more details on it, because there are some parts on here that I think I can use like a Gundam marker to kind of panel line, just to give it like a darker, you know, kind of like these lines here. And that's something that I like right here. So even though most of this stuff isn't really painted in, they actually painted this part. Sometimes Hasbro doesn't even bother to paint the tiny details on some of these straps, but they did it for here. So I do like the fact that they did that. Now, all these pouches here that are on his belt, these could definitely be painted a little bit better to make it stand out, but at least the details for all these pouches go all the way to the back. And this is a interesting thing about this, is that I never knew he had this many on his belt before. Like, I always wonder, like, what is he carrying in these pouches? Because most of the time in the cartoons, whenever he's in a fight, he's always using his eye laser. Like, I don't really see him pull out, like, anything from these pouches. Or maybe he has. I don't remember. So, yeah. I mean, it's cool. And then the X logo right here. And then down here, you have this strap here for the rest of his costume. And the yellow boots. I just love the yellow. I love the yellow color that they chose to use for this figure. And, you know, two of my favorite colors is green and yellow. So I just love the yellow on this one. And, yeah. In terms of the body buck, it is their most recent new body buck that they've made for the male figures. It's not anything like... It's... How do I describe this? It's basically an upgrade of the Bucky Cap body mold. If you collect Marvel Legends for a long time, you know what I'm talking about. And I think this one came out okay. I like this body buck more. The one from before, yeah, that one just did not look good. And this one makes it look more like what a superhero does look like in the comics. To me, it does. So, all right. Let's talk about articulation. And then after that, I'll kind of show like a head swap to the best I can. And we'll go from there. So, with articulation with Marvel Legends, it's quite simple as usual. So, this particular figure uses the hinge combination. So, he doesn't have the upper torso rotation. Instead, I believe this one has the waist rotation, right? Yes, it does. So, it rotates down here. And he has a hinge that allows him to lean forward and lean back. Sometimes it can work, sometimes it doesn't. It's because it's really stiff on my copy. And there are a lot of areas on this figure on my copy that are very stiff. He does double joint. There you go. He does have swivel here. And, excuse me. And also a hinge right here with the hands, where he can articulate it. He also has this upper swivel over here. His arms can go out, they can go in, they can go back and forth like that. There is a butterfly joint that allows for some movement here for his arms to kind of like, you know, go in like this. So that's good. And for his head, it does look up really good. So there's that. As for looking down, pretty good. As for looking side to side, also pretty good. As for tilting, it can tilt a little bit, so that's not too bad. And for his legs, let's just go to his legs now. He can spread out. Okay, it's not too bad. Sometimes some Marvel Legends can't spread out their legs too much, which is a bummer. But this one can, so that's pretty good. And then for kicking forward, that's a pretty good kick. because the way that they sculpted his trunks piece here, or underwear piece, whatever you want to call this thing, they carved out enough room where he can do a pretty good kick, in my opinion. So there's that. As for his legs, they do articulate. There is double joint, but for some reason, my copy of the figure just loves to just stiffen up. I've heated this guy up many times in the joint areas to get it loosened, and for some reason, they always tighten back up. I think I need to use more heat. But they do work. And he also has a swivel down here in his leg, which is really cool. Oh, and I'm not forgetting another one. There is a die cut here, right here. It's moving. It's blended in with this belt area right here, or the strap, whatever this thing is, belt strap, I think, for his costume. So it hides the joint, which is really cool. It hides the cut. And then the swivel down here is also hidden with this. But of course, when you swivel it out more, it's going to become more obvious. There is feet articulation. It does swivel. And yeah, that's it. I forgot that there's no toe articulation. Yeah, Marvel Legends, they don't have toe articulation for most of their figures. I don't know why. I feel like if they did have toe articulation, it would make for some good posing a little bit more. But yeah, for some reason, they don't have that. Okay, I think before I show the head swap, I want to do like quick comparisons, just showing him with some figures. And then we can do a head swap and get him into some sort of action pose. So, before I bring in his buddies from his team, let's bring in his... I'm trying to get the dust off of these guys because I haven't looked at these guys in a while. So, I want to bring in his brothers because Cyclops does have brothers. He's not the only one in the family that has abilities. So, there he is with Havoc. Of course. Pretty cool, right? And then there he is with, hopefully he doesn't fall over, Vulcan. Oh, and he fell over. I said he fell over. He can't stand. Okay, let me try to get him to stand. That was not supposed to happen. But sometimes these things do happen. And that's fine. Okay, there we go. Come on, stay still. Don't fall. There he is with Vulcan. And Vulcan was the first figure to introduce this new upgraded body buck for the male figures in Marvel Legends. So, there's that. So there he is with his brothers. Pretty cool. So if you have these two other figures, they will go nicely with him. Now let's put them next to some friends. Of course, you got to have them with Wolverine, right? And I think that's not a bad... Yeah, that's not bad. I kind of want to zoom in on that. There you go. Zoom in on that. And of course, we got to have him next to his, lover. Wait. Don't... Man, I'm having trouble getting these figures to stand today. What's going on? Okay, there we go. There he is with Jean. And then let's bring in Rogue. Pretty cool. And then, of course, we got to have him with Gambit. Let me just... There you go. And Gambit is quite tall, which is pretty cool. So, he's always been kind of like the taller one. And who else do we have? We also have Nightcrawler here. Yeah, there's that. And who else do I want to bring in? Might as well do this for fun. Got him with the Retro She-Hulk. And last but not least, let's just have him in the video. Of course, there he is next to Captain America. So, pretty cool. And that's all the comparisons. But yeah, he fits in with the comic book side of your Marvel shelf very nicely. Now, let me show the other head sculpt on this figure. And I'll pop the head off easily. So, on my copy, for some reason, this regular head is easy to pop off, but this one is really difficult to put on for me. So, I'm just going to do this off camera And if you collect Marvel Legends, you know how to pop these heads on and off. Like, it's really simple. So I'm not going to show it. It's a struggle putting on this other head. And I'm going to try my best to get it on here. Okay. I think I got it on. Okay, that is not a fun... Okay, there we go. All right, hopefully I don't break anything. All right, I got it in to the best I can. There you go. So there he is with the other head sculpt. It's in there. It's really freaking stiff, but yeah. And now let me swap out his hand so I can show this, and I want to get him into some pose. So let me put in this other hand, and okay. All right, I know what I'm trying to do here. I want to do this. Let me hope that he doesn't fall over. Okay, stay right there. Let me put this in. Okay, there we go. And there you have it. He's using his laser beam as I'm trying to speak. Yeah, pretty cool. And I like that, you know? It's pretty simple. Like, that's basically all I need in a Cyclops figure. I don't need him to have, like, crazy other laser accessories. I know they could have done a version of his head sculpt where they could have made his eyes, like, glowing, you know, like he's about to fire it. But this is pretty good for a Marvel Legend. Like, it's good enough in my opinion. I think it's fine. And yeah, I like the way that you can get him into this pose, and you can do this. So awesome. It's always nice when figures do include accessories like this where you can do stuff like that. And that is it with today's review of Cyclops. If you found this video informative, do give it a like. If you want to subscribe for more action figure content on the channel, you can as well. You don't have to. In the end of the day, I make these videos for fun. And with that said, take care, and I will see you in the next video.